Hey everyone, John Gordon here with our top strategies for student athletes and coaches. I am joined by Kate Leavell. Kate, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited for this.
Thrilled to have you. Kate is a coach. She has coached college, coached high school. I am a former Division I lacrosse player, played football and basketball also in high school. So when we talk about sports, we talk about student athletes, we talk about coaching, we understand. We also work with a lot of coaches and sports teams around the country, colleges and pro teams and high school teams, you name it. And we have heard from so many of you, knowing the struggles that you're going through right now. There are a lot of disappointments as people's seasons have ended, careers have finished in high school, some in college. You didn't get a chance to play your senior season. So we know there's a lot of emotions going on. There's a lot of range of feelings and disappointments and frustration and anger. And our goal with this webinar is to just talk about strategies and how you can stay positive, how you can move through this event in your life, but also this greater event that we're all dealing with in society. So while it's for coaches and student athletes, this is really for everyone. So Kate, when we're talking about this experience, what kind of perspective can we have as we're all dealing with this right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to see this as the opportunity that it is. And, ironically, opportunity comes in the ugliest, worst packaging you can imagine. And I kind of have this remembrance of, if anybody goes on TikTok out there over Christmas time, there was a ton of TikToks about people opening presents that were like 30 boxes nested inside of each other. And it was these old ugly boxes and ugly wrapping, and to get to the present they had to just keep unwrapping all these boxes for like 20 minutes. And I really feel like opportunities are very much like that. So you have to be willing to dig through the ugly to get to the gem that's kind of in the middle and keep going and find that opportunity. And only the people do that are the ones that are going to come out really on top of this. So I think that's a great way to kind of look at this. It really is a gift. I was just thinking earlier about how you have to lose something to appreciate it. And so for a lot of us, you hit your 40s and you appreciate things that you don't get to do anymore. So I joined an adult league and I couldn't wait to get to practice. I couldn't wait to go out there on the field, and I really appreciated every minute, a little more than I did maybe when I was in school. And when I went back to school as an adult, I just loved like getting to grow my mind and study. And I didn't appreciate that so much when I was growing up. And everybody here who's a student athlete is getting to experience loss now so that they can come back and really appreciate it more. And man, when this stuff gets started, if you don't go out your first day back on the field, court, track, whatever it is, and just want to like kiss the ground and be super excited, I think you missed something. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to appreciate what we had and also going forward what we will have. And I want the student athletes to really think about this, right? This is one of the major events in our history, in our life that we're going through right now. And we didn't go through the Great Depression. We didn't go through World War II. Like, this is a major event that you're going through right now. And so while we may have lost a season, not been able to play, we're dealing with something bigger in society. And what we're learning now will prepare us for the rest of our lives. I mean, I'm learning things now in my own life, going through this at the age of 49. All right, I'll share 49. And so I'm learning things right now, and we're all going to learn things that will prepare us for the future. But if you've been injured as an athlete, as I have, you know that you've been injured where you couldn't play, where you had to come back, where you had to rehab. Well, this is a time where we're experiencing a collective injury right now. And so many people are basically going through the injury at once. And I see it as a great time to prepare, to get our mind right. As I wrote in my book, Training Camp, it's a great time to slow down, to be still, to decide what is it that I truly want right now? What is my vision for the road ahead, for my life, for my athletic career, for my career in general? What do I want to create in the future? What do I want to build? So really use this time to think right now, what is it that I truly want? It's a great time to work on yourself. Just as when you're coming back from an injury, you have to prepare and get stronger and get better so you can come back even stronger on the field. Well, how can you prepare right now to get even stronger? You have a choice. You can watch Netflix every single day and just binge on food and snacks, or you can get up every day, have a routine, focusing on getting better, How can I get physically better? How can I get mentally better, emotionally better, spiritually better? Every day you can work on developing yourself to be the best version of you. And so a great motivation right now could be seeing the future and saying, who do I want to be in the future? What do I want to become? What do I want to work on? And you start working on that right now. Don't look at the lost season. Don't look at the past. That is a recipe for misery. We cannot go backwards. Instead, say, what do I want to create in the future? How can I win in the future? And what must I do now and prepare now to be my best? Kate, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think this is a great wake up call because honestly, this is obviously a unique situation we've never been through before, but this is not unique that people lose a season or lose a career suddenly without warning. I've had teams that lost their season due to a budget cut. I've had, you could have a season ending or a career ending injury at any time and you have no idea when that's coming. And such a wake up call to really be grateful and take full advantage of the time that you have. And I've had a couple people message me that the back of their shirts or the message they have in their locker room is to play or live each day as though it could be your last. And I think this is a really great reminder of that.
So let's talk about some tips on how we could actually be mentally strong through this. How can we stay positive? We're going to talk about yourself first, right? First yourself, then the team after that. But let's talk about us first, your mindset, how you approach this. And then also at the end, we're going to take some questions. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask us anything. We're wide open. You can ask us anything, even personal questions, whatever you want to ask, we'll be happy to answer them. And so first and foremost, from a mental standpoint, it really is our perspective. E plus P equals O. If you read the energy bus, E plus P equals O. We can't control the events in our life, but we can control our positive response. And so often that determines the outcome. E plus P equals O. So this is a big event we couldn't control, but how do we respond, which we just talked about, how we can respond every day to prepare, to grow, to improve, to get mentally stronger. And then that will determine the outcome. So first and foremost, I think perspective is key. Feeding yourself every day with positivity. We know as a team, you're used to being around a lot of teammates, right? There's that camaraderie. And right now, in many ways, you might feel a little isolated. And that's what I'm worried about, to be honest, when we're talking about this. As an athlete, this is a time where we might get depressed and discouraged and down when we're by ourselves. And so it's important that you feed yourself every day with positivity. Have one practice every day that you utilize to do that. For me, I've actually been doing 2 walks a day now. I used to be just one. Now I have so much time. I'm going on 2 walks a day, 2-hour walks a day. And while I'm walking, I'm practicing gratitude. I'm saying what I'm thankful for. And the research shows you can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. So if you're feeling blessed, you won't be stressed. If you're practicing gratitude, you won't feel this stress. So every day I'm practicing gratitude. And the research shows when you're doing that, you're creating this fertile mind that's ready for great things to happen. You're filling your brain and body with positive emotions that uplift you rather than stress hormones and fear and negativity that drains you. So just doing something like that every day is an amazing energy booster, and it's great for your mind. So that's just one way that I feed the positive every day. Kate, how about you? What's your favorite strategy?
I love that. And I just want to kind of give an analogy that goes along with that. So I want you to think about your life as being a movie right now. And man, I've seen some tragedies before. And if you think about whatever you're telling yourself right now, if you're building a tragedy, that's where you're going to end up. I want you to think about building a comeback. Everybody loves a great comeback story, right? A great comeback movie. I know Damon West was on your coaching group and he was on your Facebook Live the other day. Nobody wants to read about the story of Damon still in jail today, right? I'm sure Damon doesn't want to live that story. We want to have a comeback, and we can't control where we are right now, but we decide where this story ends. And the way we decide is what actions we decide we're going to take and what we're going to believe about the future and where we're going. And this could be the greatest comeback story of all time for your team. And I would encourage you to do something with that. Either take turns writing a chapter of where you guys are going and make characters in the book that are all names of people on your team and pass it around. And at the end, get that thing bound, give everyone a copy and say, hey, this is the year we survived the plague, right? Let's put that out there and find some way to get really excited about how you can get innovative and do what other teams not doing. I'm also thinking about how this is going to level the playing field, right? So these teams that are up here that rely on everyone to come out and practice at a certain level are now being put on the same level as maybe a newer team that's used to using some of these other strategies. And I think some teams are going to change where they come out depending on how they choose to use this time. And I think, again, that perspective of opportunity and telling yourself, I can't control this, but I can decide where this ends up is going to be really powerful.
I tweeted the other day that I feel like I'm living in a bad movie. Like just everything that's going on, it just seems like it's a bad movie, a science fiction movie. And in many ways, it does feel surreal. But even though I'm feeling like I'm living in that, when I look around, we also create the movie of our life, as you just said, right? What kind of movie do you want to create? Is it a drama? Is it a horror story? Or is it an inspirational tale? And I think as an athlete, as a coach, we love inspirational tales. We love comebacks. We love movies where the team is down and they're out, but they come back. We love the player that comes back from an injury to overcome and have great success. And as I said, we're in a collective injury right now, but we can all overcome and have great success in the future. And again, maybe you've lost your season this year. Maybe you're a senior in high school or college, and now you're done playing and you didn't get to do that. Well, guess what? I believe that's going to motivate you in the future to create something amazing, something great. Out of great adversity comes great things. The Empire State Building, Golden Gate Bridge were both built during the Great Depression. So you will probably never take anything for granted again as you move forward. You will never think that, oh, that's a guaranteed. You will look forward to life. You will enjoy the things you're creating. You will experience things more fully as a result of that. So there's so much that we can take from that. And I think the story we tell ourselves determines the life that we're living. So even though I wake up each morning thinking, is that a nightmare or is this really happening? I also then choose to create the story that I'm in. So I see what's going on, but then I'm choosing to create the story. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. We got to talk to ourselves instead of listen to ourselves. If you follow me on social media, you might have heard me talk about this before, but if you haven't, I want to share it here. Best advice I ever heard, Dr. James Gills, the only person on the planet to complete 6 double Ironman triathlons. That's double Ironman, which means you do an Ironman and then a day later you do another one. And the last time he did it, he was 59 years old. And he was asked how he did it. And he said, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. He said, if I listen to myself, I hear all the negative, all the fear, all the doubt, and all the complaints. But if I talk to myself, I can feed myself with the words and the encouragement that I need to keep on moving forward. Right now, we need to talk to ourselves instead of listen to ourselves. Don't listen to the negative voices. Don't listen to all the things that say, there's no way this is going to happen. You're not going to get better. Next season's not going to work for you. I'm not going to come back stronger. I'm depressed right now. I'm down. No, talk to yourself. Feed yourself with the words of encouragement that you need to stay positive. So that way you have this positivity for yourself. So that way you can feed others. But it's going to be so important because in my other webinar, I talked about staying positive through challenges and change, and everyone could access that one. I talked about the 5 Ds of doubt, distortion, lies that are always coming in, those negative thoughts, discouragement, distraction, and division. And the word anxious actually means divided. If you look up that word, divided. And so right now there's a lot of anxiety, there's fear, there's division, there's negativity, there's discouragement, there's doubt. And so what we have to do every day is fill our minds with encouragement, with words of belief, of power, of truth. And so on the left side of a piece of paper, what you can do, and Kay and I, we do this in our workshops when we work with teams and organizations. We do an exercise where we have each person write down on the left side of a piece of paper their discouraging thoughts, their negative thoughts, their fears and their doubts. They write them down. On the right side, you can write down words of encouragement that you can speak, truth that you could speak to those lies, positive things you could say to those negative thoughts. And when you do that each day and you start to speak that, speaking is so powerful. You can speak your life into existence. I accept all the great things that happen. I believe that my best days are ahead of me, not behind me. I know and I trust that we will prevail through this and that the future is bright. It's full of hope. We know that. And when you speak life like that, you start to walk in that power, in that truth. It's amazing. So I want to encourage you, talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. Kate, you want to share another tip for people?
Yeah, I wanted to put on my coach hat for just a second because I can't help myself. But I think, we really need a little bit of tough love for our athletes. And I know here we really don't do tough love. We do love tough. We bring the love first. And what I want to share with you first for love, all of the athletes out here. First of all, you absolutely did lose something. You know, I am a coach of a spring sport, and on Monday, I'm supposed to have my first practice, and my fields will be empty on Monday. And I feel that loss. I have a box full of uniforms that will not be worn. And that's really tough. And I have a daughter who's a junior in high school, and this was going to be her year. You know, she's been training 2-a-days all year to get out there. She could not wait. And come Monday, she's not going to be on that field either. So what you're experiencing is real. And there are probably some people who have told you, you know, belittled it a little and said, oh, it's just a sport, get over it. You know, people are dying. And I want to tell you that it's okay to feel hurt and to be angry and to have all of those feelings. And you have every right to. You have sacrificed, whether you agreed to it or not, whether it was your choice or not, you still made a sacrifice. And we really hope that people's lives are going to be saved because of that sacrifice. And that's the love side of it. So now, of course, you got to get the other side, which is the tough side. So here's what I got to tell you. Sports have not been canceled. Okay. Your practices, your group practices, your competitions have been canceled. Your ability to get together on the field have been canceled, but nobody canceled sports. Okay. Sports live in here. They live in here in your muscles. They live in here in your brain. You're an athlete as much as you were an athlete before they canceled this. So you need to go forward and be an athlete. If you turn around and take this and say, well, they canceled my sport, so I can no longer practice, learn, train, get better, your sports didn't quit you. Okay, hear this, you quit your sport. All right, because there is an opportunity here for you to own what your piece is and what your identity is. And if you identify as an athlete, you are still an athlete, and they're coming back. Nobody said sports are done forever. This is kind of like saying I'm not going to save for college because I'm not in college right now. It doesn't make sense. Okay, this is your bank. You're investing in yourself. Come back better, stronger. Don't waste this opportunity. And I want you to think about adversity. Teams literally do adversity as their goal. When you go out and do a competition, the whole thing is adversity. Someone's trying to beat you and you're trying to overcome. Sports are adversity. If this doesn't train you to be better and come back next year, then we've missed a huge opportunity, right? This is going to also translate into your life. Let's think about businesses right now that are being closed and shut down. They are having to learn how to adapt. If they just sit home and go, oh, well, my business is closed, they're not going to reopen. They may not be able to adapt to this because of what kind of business they have, but they're probably learning how they can come back stronger and what strategies they can use. This is a huge opportunity to translate into your life going forward. And think about this. If your team can ride this out and overcome this stronger, compare it to the adversities you've had in the past. So what could you overcome next year if you make it through this and you make it out to the other side? This is a huge opportunity that you need to grab onto and say, what am I made of? It's a test. What are we able to overcome? And you need to kind of get together with your team, not in person, but find ways that you guys can connect and figure out where you're going from here and what you want to do. Maybe it's time to realign what that vision is, and it's definitely time to step back. And we talk about in our training that telescope where you can see where you're going, big picture. Microscope is what are the daily commitments and actions, and you may have to completely redesign what those daily commitments and actions are right now. This would be a great time to do that, and then redraw what your path is going to be. I think that this is your chance to make this the best team and become your best self that you've ever been.
Yeah, telescope and microscope. Telescope, big picture vision of where I'm going and why am I going there, purpose. And then the microscope, what are the zoom focus actions I need to take each day to realize the picture in the telescope? So as Kate said, even though you may not be with your team right now, develop a routine every day. Get up in the morning and work out first thing. Do your workout first thing. Get it out of the way. Do your workout, do your training on the physical side. Do it on the mental side. Then if you can, get with your team via virtually and work together as a team and do some kind of team building exercise. Get together once a day if you can, or every couple of days, so you can keep that camaraderie going. Make sure you're reaching out to people who need to be reached out to. Maybe you're lending a helping hand to someone from a distance, but in a loving way that you can help someone. And people need that now more than ever because people are struggling right now. So who can you reach out to make a difference? I was talking to my good friend Erwin McManus yesterday, having him on my podcast, Positive University. And he said, this is one of the greatest acts of humanity in our history, that millions of people would give up their athletic futures, their financial futures in many ways, and or their current financial situation, and literally sacrifice right now for the good of others, that they would do that to save the lives of others. Like, that is amazing when you think of millions of people doing this. So there are good things that are coming out of this. And, he also said that he was sitting on his corner where he lives, and he doesn't have a gate. So he has a big yard, and his neighbors keep on walking by, and he's talked more to his neighbors in the last week than he has in literally the last 10 years. So even though there's social distancing, people are now seeking connection even more. So Kate, in this spirit of connection, how can teams right now connect more, or in ways that are innovative and unique? And what are some things that teams can do when they come together? I know we have our team building exercise we created. We have a PDF, by the way, of team building exercises of what you can do as a team. But let's share a couple here right now of what can a team do to connect in innovative ways now so they can really develop that connection during this time. And you said you've heard of some really cool stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we're in season, it's really hard to make connections with everybody. We tend to connect with just the people we interact with the most. This is an opportunity to really connect with everybody, and kind of brings everyone into a level playing field, which I really like. And some of the cool things, so I've seen contests. If you've seen, so I coach lacrosse, I'm pretty heavy into the lacrosse world, and I've seen teams actually making videos where one person has the ball and they throw it, and then the next person makes a video of them catching a ball and throwing it. It looks like the entire team is passing the ball all from their different yards, which is really cool. I've seen contests going on. I've seen Hopkins had a really cool full screen of all of their players doing a Zoom meeting and all the videos, and just everyone getting together. I think starting a question email where you have to ask somebody a question, then you answer it, and then you pass the question to the next person so that it goes all the way around, is a really great opportunity to get to know people on another level. If you don't have one now, I think most teams do start a group chat, there's GroupMe, there's a lot of several apps that you can use out there. At the end of the day, who found the best meme of the day? I think the best part I know that I love out of this whole thing, if I'm going to pick something good, is the memes are fantastic. They're cracking me up. I've been passing those around quite a bit. So there's just a lot of ways to connect. I think we need to utilize online, phone, anything where you can do voice, I think is a lot more effective than putting things in writing. There's a time and place for the email, but if you can get people, I think Zoom is, I'm not sure, I think they're free or something, that's something going on where you can get a lot of people on at one time to share as well. So, anything along those lines where you can get people talking.
My favorite exercise, by the way, if you want to know it, it's Hero, Hardship, and Highlight, Triple H, Hero, Hardship, Highlight. So you can do this virtually via Zoom or a phone conference, and you have each person share who their hero is, a highlight in their life, and a hardship they face that made them who they are today. It is such a powerful exercise. When you do this as a team, you get to know each other so much better. Did it with Clemson football several years ago, Auburn golf. Kate's done it with a number of teams of who she works with, our clients. And when you do it, you can see the walls of pride and ego and selfishness come crumbling down. And that paves the way for authenticity and vulnerability, which then leads to more meaningful connection and then relationships that develop from that. And so then you get a team that's not fighting with each other. Now they're fighting for each other. Because once I know you and I know your deeper story and who you truly are and what you've overcome, I now want to pull for you. I want to be there for you. And it's the best bonding exercise of all. So many people know about it from my work, but if you're new to my work, that's just a great exercise you can do. It's also in that PDF that we'll be sharing with everyone who signs up on this webinar. We'll make sure that you get a copy of that resource for building a stronger team. We know that we're dealing this with a lot of, a lot of teams are dealing with this. So, one final H, we have the triple H, but you can add a fourth H if you want. What do you hope for? And I think given this time right now, hope for is a really great idea. We all need something to long for, something to hope for, something to move towards. And so if we can all share what we hope for, that will be really powerful. I've lost both my parents. And one of the ways I kept my dad alive when he was going through some struggles in the hospital was to give him something to hope for. And I kept on inspiring him with things to hope for. And he lived another year and a half by doing that. And he would say that kept him going. And so knowing what we can that we can hope for things and look forward to things is really very powerful. People often think like positivity is like Pollyanna, right? Oh, that's just like, seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. No, it's not seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. It's knowing that you have the power to overcome the thorns. And so everything I learned as an athlete, playing lacrosse in college, taught me and prepared me for moments just like this, because I had to face adversity, had a lot of injuries and setbacks. I was often told I wasn't good enough. And so when I became an author and wrote The Energy Bus, and it's rejected by over 30 publishers, it didn't hold me back, because I knew that I was told I wasn't good enough before. I had faced adversity before. So I knew that I had something within me to keep going, to somehow and some way to just keep fighting and overcome. And so being an athlete prepared me for the life I'm living now, for the work that I do now. And I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't play a sport in high school and college. It changed my life. It changed who I was. I often tell people when I went to Cornell, I was straight out of Long Island, New York. I had the gold chain, the tank top, and the Camaro, and I talk like this. And my friends wore my regular clothes as their Halloween costumes. That's how bad it was. But that experience of being around those guys and that team and learning and growing there just prepared me so much for becoming a better human being and a better person, and the life that I now live as a result of that. So just know everything you're going through as an athlete is preparing you for your future. And this is a great time to prepare together as a team, to come together as a team, to use this time to grow stronger together, to get better together, to develop those emotional connections, which you would never do otherwise. We're finding more stillness now. We're finding more, in many ways, for some, more peace, right? In some ways. And through that, we're able to then develop more connections. Kate, you want to add to that?
Yeah, two suggestions I wanted to make, and the first one is for teams, and that is, this is a really great time to do a book study. I do a book study with my team every single year, and I will tell you that my season is very short. So when I coached college, it was a little bit easier, but this is like a gift. I've never had this much time to do a book study, so this is a great time to pick something. One of my favorites that I love to do is The Energy Bus and the Hard Hat. And to have everybody read and then to come back together and to teach it back to each other. You could even have assigned chapters to each person, and they have to teach it so the next person knows what's going on in the story before they read it, and then some discussion questions. We have had some of the most incredible open discussions by asking, do you identify with these characters? And have you seen this before with your teams? And it's been really incredible, really powerful. So I would definitely suggest that we could put a list together of some books also that are great for those. John has some action plans that you can download with discussion questions as well. And then the other thing is really for individuals. If you are struggling right now, and I know a lot of people personally are struggling, and I think what we tend to do is to kind of sit back and struggle and hope somebody reaches out to see if we're okay. And what we end up having is a whole team full of people that are hoping somebody reaches out to see if they're okay. One of the best lessons I've learned is that a way to get out of your own head is to go support somebody else, go serve someone else, go offer to lift somebody else up. And in doing that, we kind of get the benefit of feeling fulfilled and lifted up and kind of coming out of that sadness that we have. So if you have an opportunity, if you're really struggling, call some people on your team and see how they're doing and see how you can support them and see what that does for your team and for yourself.
Yeah, and remember, LOSS, LOSS, stands for Learning Opportunity Stay Strong. So it's a learning opportunity, we stay strong. Right now, we can choose fear or faith. And what do fear and faith have in common? They both believe in a future that hasn't happened yet. Fear believes in a negative future. Faith believes in a positive future. So basically, we can choose to believe in the positive future. If we believe in the negative future, that's what's going to happen. We can believe in the positive future. That's what's going to happen. So, Kate, I love what you just said about that. Like such a great idea. In terms of a team coming together right now, we're talking about virtual ways, Kate. And what's the most important thing that they need to be working on while they're coming together? Because here's an exercise that I love. I love this one. It's just so cool. Brian Boland did this at UVA, and it's just a great thing. You're going to spend a lot of time with your family right now. So have each person on the team present to the rest of their team, their family, who they are. Or actually you can even divide it up. Kate, if you and I were teammates, you would actually have to learn about my family and then present to the rest of the team about my family. And I have to learn about your family, and I would present to the rest of the team about your family. And so it's a really cool way of getting your team to know each other, but also know the families behind you. And the reason this was so powerful when Brian Boland did this at UVA was because he said, who are the most important people of your life, in your life? And they all said their family. And then he said, well, do you know about each other's families? And they were like, no. He said, well, if people are important to you and your teammates are supposed to be important, don't you think you should know what's important to you and what's important to them? And so as they learned about each other's families, they learned about what was important to them. And as a result, they connected like no other. So such a powerful thing. Kate, what would you say on that?
Yeah, I love that. I actually done that exercise before where someone had to learn about my family, and then they had to draw a picture of it and show the group, and the group had to figure out from the picture about me. And it was actually pretty funny because, of course, nobody could draw. But I love the 5 and 5 exercise where you have to find 5 things you have in common with anybody on the team and 5 things that are completely different. And the only way to figure that out is to ask them as many questions as possible about their life until you find something that either goes together or doesn't go together. So it really forces you to figure it out. Mental scavenger hunts. So you have a list of things that you have to find, and you have to call everybody on your team and see if you can check something off. So you have to find somebody who's lived in 5 different states.
Toilet paper. I'm trying to find toilet paper.
Yes, you have toilet paper. Then put your.
I have none. Here. I need some, and I can't. I'm like having to reach out to neighbors. Like, hey, you have any toilet paper?
I can call the military. They know how to handle that. Yeah. So anything where you're going to ask questions. I love that with having to present your family. So one of the other ones that I think is really cool.
It's a joke, Michael. Yeah.
I've seen teams do this with a bonfire, but you can do it virtually. Take a picture of an item in your house that is very special, that represents something important to you, and you post that picture. And then you each take turns sharing why that item is really important and what it stands for. And you just get the coolest stories when you do that. So that's one of my favorite activities as well.
Kate, any final thoughts before we start taking questions?
I think the way that you look at this is going to determine where you go, not just in your season, but in your life. And I know a lot of people who have gone through season-ending injuries and have spent their entire life being a victim of, I was robbed, I will never meet my potential. And I don't want anybody to go through this. It's bad enough, what we're having to face, and have to live with long-term consequences like that. People who are survivors, who thrive, who have overcome these incredible odds, all have that same mindset of, this can't stop me. You can't stop me. My purpose is greater, right? And my positivity is greater than the negativity, and nothing is going to derail me. I may have to adapt, but this is where I'm going. And sometimes you need a team beside you to help you follow through and believe that. And so lean on each other and believe that you're going to come out on this better, more connected. And I promise you, you're going to look back, and some of the things that you've done are going to be the greatest memories you've ever had. I've had games that were canceled, and we sat in a shed, and it was pouring rain, and we played games, and it was like the best memory of the entire season. So find a way to celebrate each other and to grow and to really build some incredible memories in this time, and never ever look at this as a victim, but as a full opportunity.
In the chat box, I just saw someone say that they're doing a recipe share, where they're sharing recipes with each other.
I want in on that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. See, I always say the genius is in the audience. It's never on stage. It's never the presenters. The genius is always in the audience. So it's always great to learn and great ideas. So, we're going to take questions very soon here. And I think, as we come to a close with just this part of it, and then we're going to get a lot of gems in the questions, I just want to say that as I think about everyone right now, and I'm concerned about people's mental state out there, because I know it's easy to talk about this, and it's harder when you go back and you're living it. And we know that depression and suicide and negative thoughts right now, and fear and anxiety are at an all-time high, especially in younger people. So I just want to encourage you to go out there and really just get that physical activity that you are used to, because as an athlete, we are meant to move. I'm doing the 2 walks a day, as I said, and I'm actually working on my basketball game. Literally, I've gotten so good in basketball the last few weeks. I'm out there in my yard, just practicing every day, playing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm improving. So when I play pickup ball, I'm going to be really good again. I used to be good, but I'm going to be good again. And I'm just taking it as a new challenge. But I find that when I'm doing that, it has really alleviated a lot of the stress and the fear that, I've had. Again, we're all struggling. Kate's struggling. I'm struggling. We have struggled. This is a very, very raw time for all of us. So we don't have it all together all the time. We all struggle with stuff. And as Kate said earlier, it's normal to struggle, and it's okay if you are, and it's okay to have down moments. We just don't want to live there. We don't want to go down the spiral staircase of despair. We want to make sure that we're feeding the positive, fueling our mind with these positive thoughts, talking to ourselves every day, connecting with our teammates, making sure we're eating the right foods, make sure that we're exercising, make sure that we're preparing and working on our game, getting ready to come back stronger. It's a great opportunity and time to do that, and live with no regrets. Because as an athlete, I have one regret, not many regrets. I have one regret. My one regret is that I allowed distractions to keep me from being all I was meant to be. There were a lot of distractions that got in the way, and I could have been so much better than I was. I was a 3-year starter, but I could have been so much better if I would have really focused on being the best version of myself. And I allowed all the other stuff to get in the way of that. It's why I'm so passionate about speaking to student athletes now, because I know what it was like, and I know what I left behind, and I know it's my one regret. So just want to say, this is an opportunity to work on you, to be the best that you can be, to be the best teammate you can be, to come together as a team. And you will come back as a team. There will be time that we're coming back. I believe it's a few months away as we move through this, and then we come back. There'll be a great opportunity, summer, fall, to really come back as a team. And I truly believe that this will be the opportunity for you to be your best. So you don't have to live with regrets. I asked my friend Erwin yesterday, like, why are people so afraid of dying? Because people are so panicked. He said, because they're not truly living. He said, if you truly live your life and you truly feel like you've lived it, you don't have really regrets. So you don't really have that fear. So the more we live for today, the more we won't fear tomorrow. Live for today. So would love to take some of your questions right now. Feel free to ask us anything.
I do want to, somebody asked a question earlier about the book idea that I had about starting the chapters, and they were saying how to start it. So really you can do whatever you want to. I would suggest though, because I always believe in starting where you are, start the story with exactly where you all are right now, and you could make it literally where you are right now, or you could make it kind of, you're all trapped in your house in the forest or something, but how will you create a story, and what will each person do to kind of pull you towards a really cool destination at the other side? So that's where I would start.
Yeah. And just saw Carlton Creech is on here. We're actually doing a leadership program, positive leadership program at University of Denver. And we're basically going to be talking about positive leadership, helping them develop leaders in their university of all their student athletes. Think about that. What a great opportunity to practice positive leadership. And if you're new to me, I wrote a book called The Power of Positive Leadership, The Energy Bus, The Power of a Positive Team. Training camp is my favorite. It's about an athlete who gets an injury and has to overcome, and they have to develop their mental mindset to overcome their fear, find their faith for their journey ahead, sort of like what we're going through now. So things that we've done this a long time, sharing with student athletes, and hopefully you're getting some ideas today that will help you. All right, some other question. Let's see.
There's a changing fear. How do you address turning fear into faith and addressing that with your teams? And I think the more you talk about a positive future and where you're going, and the more excited you get about how you can use this time to do things you haven't been able to previously do, the more the fear shifts into an excitement, rather than focusing on kind of the doom and gloom of what's going on. Just get really excited about where you're going and start to create plans and bring that together. And that inevitably is going to bring you this great shift on your team.
Right. So how do we walk the difficult line of being positive and allowing people to acknowledge their feelings? And the question is, I'm thinking specifically of some of my teammates who have depression or anxiety. Telling them to be positive sometimes doesn't go over well. Yes, I think the key to all of this is where we're real. It's not Pollyanna positive. It's acknowledging the facts, acknowledging the challenge, acknowledging the feelings, and say it's okay to feel what you're feeling. And then to be there for them in that feeling, like really come down to them and be there with them and listen to them and care about them. And then from there, lift them up. Be there with them, letting them know you're there for them, and then lift them up with an encouraging word, or helping them see a positive future, or how they can use this for a greater purpose in their life, or perhaps just your communication with them and your connection with them will strengthen the relationship and allow them to not feel so isolated on their own, because they are feeling divided. So if you can unite with them, so often that helps someone through a depressive time. And I wrote a book called The Garden that's coming out in a few months, and I'm trying to rush it out now. And it's about ways to deal with fear, stress, and anxiety. And it's so weird that I wrote this and it's supposed to come out in June, and so many people are dealing with this. And I'm going to try to get that as soon as possible. And we're going to have a launch team for it. And all the launch team members will get a free copy. We'll get a free version of it to be able to read it in advance. And my goal is to get as many people on the launch team as possible that can read it in advance for free. And so they can actually benefit from this material.
I saw a question about how to get buy-in on your team, just for being positive, as well as getting people to train when it's not necessarily required. And I know, just watching my own daughter with her online, it's pretty intensive, the amount of work that they're giving out to do at home. And it's easy to, when you're in the dark and nobody's watching, typically where champions are made, it's kind of easy to kind of slide under the radar and not do the work you need to do. Whenever I talk about buy-in, it's always about how great is your vision and where you're going, and is your journey so exciting that people can't wait to join you. If you don't have a clear vision with your team and they're not feeling like a part of it, then the buy-in kind of falls apart. So I really think this is a great time to get into a group chat or a Zoom meeting with all of your athletes and talk about, where do you see us? What do you see your role and your contribution as being, and how can we get there? And then make it exciting and throw in some, what do we do to celebrate milestones? And like I said, those contests, anything with competition gets people excited. So giving people rules, telling people they have to do it, only works in the beginning. It's all about the excitement and the thrill of getting to that really cool place at the end.
Question here: how do we motivate players who are down in a funk and can't get outside of themselves? Okay, get them to do one thing a day. Let's take one positive action to make small progress, and then talk about the progress and highlight the progress and congratulate them on the progress. So let's get them just to do one thing that is positive for themselves, that starts to fuel them with positive energy. We need small increments, small changes, small habits that lead to then bigger results. But we got to start small with that person who's in a funk and get them to do one thing. Say, okay, why don't you go out, do your workout today, send me a little video of you doing it, and give me a call when you're done. And then you talk to them, you encourage them. Tomorrow, one more thing. So let's just try to make small changes to create success. Another great question is, with everything that's happening, and as a captain, how can I continue to be a positive role model for my teammates when they know I'm not likely returning for a fifth year? Well, I think the fact that you won't be returning for a fifth year, possibly, the way to be a role model is to be there for them. Like, if you're not returning and you're still there leading them, that shows that you really care about them, and it's not about you. It's about you helping them as a team. So you just leading them and being there for them will motivate them. Relationships are what drive real motivation. So just you developing the relationships with your teammates will get them to buy into you and get them to see you as a leader and understand that you are really caring about them and making a difference. So I don't think you have to get their buy-in. I think them knowing that you're not coming back possibly will mean a lot to them, that you're there for them. And you can even tell them that.
That's huge. I always tell my outgoing players that your duty is to leave a light on behind you. So you shine a bright light while you're there, you lead them, but you have to leave with the light on. And so many people are faced with being really upset about how things got cut short. And it's easy to turn the light off and leave kind of in anger. You need to turn around and keep the light on for the people that are coming up behind you, so that you leave that legacy and that they're still excited to move forward, and you give that last piece of advice and leadership that you can when you go on to your next journey. And it's going to prepare you for leading in your next role.
John, what's your favorite example of a coach who cares? Well, I mean, people know I have a relationship with Dabo Sweeney, and I love the way he cares, but there are so many coaches that I meet that care. I admire coaches so much. Coaches are my heroes because they truly care and they invest in their student athletes every day. So coaches and teachers, I just love, because I know how much they care. So I could highlight Dabo Sweeney, but there are just so many that I know are the heroes every day to their student athletes. It's the coaches in my life who changed my life. No doubt. Like, they cared about me. They invested in me, and I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for those coaches who really, really just loved me, cared about me, served me, and helped me grow as a person.
Hey guys, I think we need to acknowledge too just the fact that people who are attending may not be able to see this, but we have so many high school students that are on with us right now. It's just super encouraging to see so many of you guys really caring about this topic and wanting to motivate yourselves and others. So big high fives to you. And
So,
John, one of the questions on that is someone who's a freshman wondering, how do they encourage their team when they're not a leader on the team?
yeah, Kate, you want to go there? Because I have an answer to that, but I thought you want to answer it first. You want
Yeah,
me to go
absolutely. You know what? Everybody's a leader, and we talk about this all the time with power positive leadership. If you influence somebody, then you're a leader. And leaders don't need to have titles. Some of the greatest leaders I've ever known were not positional leaders. They didn't have that title. Leadership is all about being able to show people how to come through adversity and being able to encourage and lift them up, and as well as showing them by modeling and being that example and inspiring them, reaching out, lifting them up when they need it. So the best thing that you can do is to just reach out to people. And if you feel as a freshman already like you are capable of going out and encouraging people, then that already shows the leadership skills that you're building as it is. So I would say get out there and just see what people need and be there for your teammates.
Another freshman said, how can I get my team united? Because everyone is split up right now. So as a freshman or junior or any age, what you want to do is, hey, just reach out to your teammates and, create a group chat and get everyone in the group chat and start throwing out ideas where they can basically answer questions and thoughts and comments and get people involved in a group chat and connect with a teammate every day. So if you're a freshman, reach out to one teammate every day and say, hey, how you doing? Just checking on you. Just looking to connect with my teammates. And then just try to connect with one person a day over time. If you could do 2 or 3, that's great. But calling, texting, group chat, trying to get people on a Zoom together, just throwing that idea out there. Hey, if you're a freshman, talk to the captain. Say, hey, captains, I was thinking that we should get together in a group chat and do a Zoom chat with our team once a week and come together and talk, or twice a week. And you can do that.
Try not to get frustrated if you don't get the entire team. A lot of times if someone doesn't get the entire team to participate, they feel like they failed and then they just kind of give it up. Like if you get 4 or 5 people on your team to connect and to be uplifted, then keep going with that. Probably it will grow as time goes on. So don't give up just because you have small numbers. Just keep pushing. Even if you affect one person, and I know with John's mission, it was to reach one person at a time, right? That can work for you as well in your team environment.
Another question is, during these uncertain times, do you think mental skill building, positive thought replacement is something that can be developed? Yes. This is the time to do it. This was how I developed my mental skills when I had my own personal crisis during the .com crash. I lost my job. Didn't know how I was going to provide for my family. Didn't have insurance for my kids. Scariest time of my life. And that's when I actually started working on my mental skills and my positivity, which I have now for these times. And so, yes, this is the best time to actually work on it. And maybe 2 weeks ago, you couldn't handle it. But 2 weeks later, you're coming back. You're starting to feel a little bit stronger. Maybe you're feeling a little bit better. Again, we're all works in progress. No one is perfect. So just say, how can I get better today, every day? And just work on it on a daily basis to get stronger mentally. So this is the time to do these exercises. We have an 11-step stay positive plan. That's free. You can download that. We have a 7-step plan on my website. You can download that. So we have a lot of resources in addition to the books that will help people and tools that you can use.
I know we have a lot of coaches on here as well. This is a really good time to learn how your team needs to be led. One of the biggest issues I had as a new coach was I would ask people genuinely how they are doing, and I always got fine. And then a few days later, I'd hear from the athletic director that they were struggling, So, and it was because I hadn't built a relationship with them for them to feel comfortable telling me actually how they were feeling. This is a great opportunity to start just connecting, learning more about your athletes, and then maybe even start a notebook and give each person a page and just, every time you talk to them, write a little bit about what you learned about them and how they react to certain things and what's really important to them and how they need to be led, so that at the end of this, how everybody, what they need from you, and you're going to be really close connected. And that way, when they have an issue or they're struggling, they're going to come to you and they're going to feel comfortable.
Yeah, here's a question. How do you, as a coach or a leader, hold your high standards with your team without coming across as negative? Well, it's one of our key principles of positive leadership. Love and accountability. Love tough. You develop the relationship, you set the standards, and then the goal is to challenge your team to reach those standards. But you have to love them through the process. So if they know you care about them, they know you're investing in them, you're there for them, you then can hold them accountable to the standards. But you have to have a relationship first. Tough love only works when love comes first. And when you have that love and then you have that tough, that's what really holds a team together. These are our standards. These are our principles. This is our culture. This is our values. This is what we stand for. And we're going to make sure that we live up to those values every day, even more so during uncertainty and challenging times.
I saw one on team culture, and I have to grab that one because team culture honestly should be the very first and foremost thing that you're thinking about, because the skills are going to come, all of that can be brought together. But if you don't have a great culture, it doesn't matter how great your skills are. Eventually your athletes, your team is going to be burnt out. They're going to feel undervalued. There's going to be a lot of stuff pulling you apart. And it only takes one person to pull a team all the way apart, one poison. It only takes one set of parents who are really upset to go in and just kind of distract everybody from what's going on. And so it's really important that culture comes first, and culture starts with knowing who you are and what we do here, and knowing what you stand for and what's important. And you show what's important by what you celebrate and what you consistently talk about, and having a vision and where is this team going together. So all of those things are really important to forming culture. And I would say that should be first and foremost above everything else.
Yeah, how do you get incoming freshmen acclimated and connected to the team during this time? Hard to open up and connect over media text. Yep. Texting is not the way to really connect, but if you do Skypes and you do Zooms and you connect virtually via video, you can get the team connected. Sometimes even more so. I've done this a lot with teams over the years. I've actually Skyped with a number of teams. And yes, in person is better, but I was amazed at how connected I was to them and they were to me by just interacting that way. So you can still get connected that way. And you do your best knowing that, okay, there's a better option and that's being in person. But for now, you do your best and you use what's available. And I guarantee you'll develop some great connections by doing that and getting freshmen acclimated.
Yep. Ask open questions, and ask them frequently. I like to put myself on the team group chat. I'm probably the most annoying person on there because I'm always like, all right, find all the pictures of animals without necks, go, and just have everybody go out there and just ask lots and lots of questions, and you build all these fun jokes and memories along the way. So just stay connected.
And for teams that don't have internet, someone just said, what do you do if you don't have internet? Like, we're assuming everyone has internet.
Yeah.
And there are teams out there that do not have internet. So if you don't have internet, well, then there are phones, and I'm sure most have a phone. So you can make a conference call. You can use free conferencing, and you can get everyone on a call, and you can use that as an opportunity to connect via phone. I've done a lot of podcasts via phone, and you connect with that other person when you're talking to them. I know people that gotten married by people that never even met, and they met and talked over the phone. And so there are possibilities of creating connections using the phone. And so I would do that if we can connect in that way. So again, the closer you can get to person, if you can get video, great. Wi-Fi, great. If you just have phones, then you make sure people are connecting via phones. And I would try to do it the same for everyone. So if several on the team can't connect on Wi-Fi, I wouldn't have a few on Wi-Fi and a few not. I would just make everyone do a phone at that time so everyone could have, the same type of connection together. And maybe that team member could actually, if they don't have web and so forth, maybe they have a friend that has a computer that they can use theirs in another room, socially distanced, but you can actually use another computer at a teammate's house and so forth.
Kind of go back to, when I was a kid and we didn't have all this cool stuff, back when the dinosaurs were around. And, one of the cool things is playing tag. So just play tag. You have to call somebody on your team and tell them a fun fact about you. That person has to remember your fun fact, call another player, tell them yours and theirs. So it's kind of like my grandmother's trunk, and you go through the alphabet. So you're just adding on. And by the time the last person gets it, they're getting all these facts about the entire team. You can get really creative. And as I've seen some of these athletes come up with these amazing ideas. So encourage people to submit ideas or to just get them started.
So in closing, there's a lot of great ideas here. I keep on seeing a theme in some of the questions and comments. Teams that have jealousy, teams that are not united, teams that are just focused on winning a championship. And now that there's no championship, how will they stay motivated as a team? Here's the key. It's the work that we do. It's all about being a great teammate to become a great team. How can you be a great teammate? Now more than ever, it's about feeding yourself with positivity so you can feed others. It's about how can I be selfless and try to serve others and be a great teammate for others, leading others in a positive way. We all have the opportunity right now to be a great teammate. We are doing that for our country. We are doing that for the world in many ways by what we're doing. We're being great teammates, but we also have to do that with our team. And so you may have heard me talk about George Boyardi, who played at Cornell, played for the Cornell lacrosse team 11 years after I did. And he got hit in the chest with a ball and died on the field when he was 22 years old. And he was the captain of the team. And he was jumping in front to sacrifice himself for the good of the team to help the team win, because it was a very close game. And his last act was an act of sacrifice. And that day he was meeting with the Teach for America. He was going to go teach in the Sioux Falls area, in the Pine Ridge Reservation, with kids who were the poorest of the poor, who had nothing. And this was a kid of privilege, of wealth. Most didn't know it. He was very humble, drove a beat up Jeep, wore a hoodie every day, just a great, humble kid. But he was going to go do that after college. And he had the meeting that day and then died that night. And the team came together after that death. They're all in the locker room, and his mom walks in. I wrote about this in the Hard Hat. And his mom walks in, and she put her hand on every single player's head as she walked by them, sending them love, letting them know she was there for them. And they were deciding whether they should continue and play their season because they were so devastated. They lost their teammate, their captain. A death on the field like that was horrific and devastating. And yet they said, you know what? We're not going to quit. We're going to play for George. We're not going to play to win for him. We're going to play to honor him and be the kind of teammate that he was. And they all became that kind of teammate: selfless, loyal, hardworking, putting the team first, uniting together. And now those men are now in their 30s. And to this day, they still live their life based on him. There's a bunch of young Georges around. They name their kids George, maybe some Georgettes even. And they name their kids George because of who he was and the impact he had. Think about the impact he had. Think about the kind of teammate he was. And I often ask myself as I wrote that book, and all the proceeds go to his foundation, the George's Foundation. I don't make a dime off that. And as I wrote that book, I asked myself, if that was me, if that happened to me, would I have had that kind of impact? And the answer, I'm going to be honest, was no. I was a good teammate, but not a great teammate. I was a hard worker, blue collar, gave my all every day. I was a grinder, wasn't the best player in the team, but I gave my all to the team. But I still wasn't a great, selfless teammate like that. Cared more about my stats, more about my performance, more about my identity of playing well than I did the other teammates. And I learned so much in writing that about George, and I became a better person after that. So I just want to encourage you to look for the opportunity right now to be a great teammate, to give yourself to the team and to others, to help them get better. And what you'll find is when you help your team get better, you get better. When you help them grow, you grow. This is not just a physical event right now. This is in very many ways, a mental, emotional, and spiritual event. And the more we draw in closer and get deeper, we will come out stronger as a result of that. So just want to say that in closing. And Kate, any last words from you?
Just there are going to be more championships, so there's going to be more teams that have great streaks and all of those things. There will never be another you and what you bring to the table and what you're able to contribute. And so don't get caught up in the things that can be replicated. Okay, people are going to come and win more games in the future. Leave behind what you uniquely have to offer your team. And this is a great time to reframe. Why do you play? Why does this matter to you? And what do you hope to get out of this experience? And how can you benefit somebody else? How can you serve? Because really fulfillment is going to come from serving. We could win all the awards in the world, and if we've done nothing to help someone else, it's going to feel very hollow and very empty. So this is a great time to just kind of step back and decide what's important and what are you going to do for this team this year.
Thanks so much for joining us. We know that you had a lot to do today. There's many things you could have done, but you spent time with us. We hope you found it valuable. We'll be sending a recording of this out to everyone, and also the PDF we talked about with the team building exercises for you. Thank you again, and we're rooting for you, we're cheering for you, and we're praying for you, and God bless you.